The Boys is an adult superhero comic book series co-created and written by Garth Ennis and co-created, designed, and illustrated by by Darick Robertson. So, with the final season of The Boys literally a month away, yeah, it's March 8th, and it comes out. The final season premieres April 8th. Yeah, so we are literally 1 month away, ladies and gentlemen, from the final season of The Boys premiering on Prime Video. So yeah, and I was thinking to myself, I never really talk about the comics that the show is based off, and I have read The Boys, entire comic book series from beginning to end. How The Boys started to all the way to the end, where and yes, there will be spoilers. So there will be spoilers, some spoilers from the comics that I will be talking about in this video, so you have been warned. So from the beginning, how Billy Butcher, the character Billy Butcher, recruits Huey to into this, and bringing the boys back together, all the way to the end where Homelander is in the White House, is finally in the White House, and shit's about to go down. Shit's about to go down, and Homelander dies in the comics. He dies. He gets killed by Black Noir. In the comics, in the White House, because spoiler alert. Well, I already made that clear, but Black Noir in the comics is a clone. Is revealed to be a clone of Homelander, and yeah. So it's co-created by Garth Ennis and Darick Robertson, and it is, widely regarded as a brutal, cynical, and often polarizing deconstruction of the superhero genre. While it shares a premise with the popular Amazon Prime TV show, the comic, however, the TV counterpart, the comic is frequently described as a different beast entirely. The comics is significantly, I would say, it's more graphic, profane, and focused on Ennis's deep-seated disdain of traditional superhero tropes. I don't know anything about Garth Ennis. I don't know. I haven't interviewed Garth Ennis. I don't know if he loves superheroes, if he like Marvel or DC, if Superman or Captain America or whatever is his favorite superhero. I don't know if he likes superheroes, the genre, or he's sick of he's sick of the tradition. But like I said, it's a deconstruction of the traditional superhero tropes, and it's like I feel like Garth Ennis, even though I haven't talked to him or read any interviews or anything about Garth Ennis and his personal thoughts and his opinions when he was making this comic, making this comic with Darick, if he loves the superhero genre, or if he just doesn't, or he finds it distasteful. I think he finds it distasteful because of his disdain of the superhero tropes, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think Garth Ennis is really showing, in a world with superheroes. If we live in a world with superheroes, this comic, which the TV show is based on or is adapted from, this is how superheroes would behave and act, rather than the superhero Boy Scout, Girl Scout, that you see in Marvel or DC. This is the actual. This is what This is how real superheroes would behave and act in this world, in this profound graphic world. The tone and the style of the comic, I would say, it's the highlight is that the comic series is a brutal and brilliant, but giving you a warning, it is not for the faint of heart. It utilizes satire with a sledgehammer to critique corporate power and the corruption of absolute authority, like the company Vault, like this company Vault American, or in the TV show just straight up Vault, just for simplification, and absolute authority like Homelander, or like these CEOs, or like these CEOs of the Vault company, of this superhero company. Um, and yeah, like the execution of the comics, Darick Robertson's art is great. Like his art in this comic series is amazing. It's amazing art for grounding the wild scripts, and he did a great job. He did a masterful job portraying character expressions, particularly Billy Butcher's menace. However, um, I do find some moments in the comic series to be, they have this reliance on shock value and juvenile humor, such as the infamous hamster issue. If you read the comics, you know the hamster. You know what I'm talking about when it comes to the hamster. To be a major drawback. Like seriously, like I you know I understand the comics and everything, but like there are moments like, come on, man, that's you're Garth Ennis, you're really crossing the line. You're pushing the boundary. You're really pushing the boundaries at its limits, and you're almost about to, if not already, you've crossed the line. When it comes to like, the juvenile humor and the shock value and the over reliance of all of it. And the pacing of the comic series, while the ending is often, it's basically perfect, I would feel like some of the middle volumes was very, in the middle of the comic series, of the comics, the middle volumes felt very episodic or repetitive, with side missions that felt like a melange of sex and violence that loses its flavor when read back to forth. Like when I opened the comic and I started reading it, I'm like, okay, I understand now. This character Billy Butcher, he's this character Billy Butcher, and also Huey. He recruits this guy named Huey, this new kid named Huey, and he's bringing the boys back together again to stop Homelander and to expose these superheroes for what they really are, which is corrupted assholes, and tell the whole world the truth about these so-called superheroes. I like that. All right, that premise right there, I'm completely hooked. You got me hooked. But like in the middle of the series, I'm like, they have to. The boys are, the boys, Billy Butcher, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, Frenchie, or the Frenchman, and Mother's Milk, the female, Huey Campbell. Like they're doing all these side missions. Like they're going to Russia, or they're going here, they're going over there. I'm like, when are we gonna go back to the main primary story with Homelander and the Seven, which is Homelander and the Seven, like Billy Butcher's vengeance, his quest for revenge, for vengeance on Homelander? When are we gonna get to that? When are we going back to that? Why are we doing all these side missions? Why are we like, hitting the gas pedal and, taking a detour and to, Russia or these other countries, or, these other missions that they have to do? I'm like, it feels, it feels repetitive, as I said. But I will say this: there are some pros and cons with the comics. I will say the pros for the comics is the sharp satire. It has a raw critique of celebrity culture and corporate greed, and its unique arc. I mean, Darick Robertson's art, it's a dirty style, sometimes literally dirty style, perfectly fits the gritty urban world, and also the satisfying conclusion. Unlike many long-running series, it has a planned and definitive ending. And you know what I mean with Homelander and the White House and everything. I will say this: the cons is that there's a lot of extreme gratuitous content, like extreme gore, sexual violence, and profanity that felt very exploitative to for someone like me. And there's also the cynicism, the unrelenting, mean-spirited tone can feel very exhausting for long sessions. And there's also the outdated elements like the problematic depictions of women in the comic series and the LGBTQ characters that haven't aged well in this comics. And if you guys are wondering, what's the difference between the comic and the TV show, I'll give you some differences. Um, and not like every single one in complete details, but I'll give you a few. A common point in modern, in modern reviews and everything that I've seen and from what people have talked about is how the source material compares to the adaptation, to the television series adaptations. The Boys' powers. In the comics, all members of the Boys regularly use Compound V to level the playing field, whereas the show focuses more on their vulnerability as humans. Like in the comics, they just use Compound V regularly on a daily basis, like regularly, like 24/7, like regularly, whatever, what is. In the TV show, it was pretty much just season 3. Season 3 was them or just, Billy Butcher and Huey using Compound V to level the playing field. There's and then the next point is the characterization. The show is generally it has a lot of it's considered to have more depth and likable characters. In the comics, characters like Billy Butcher are far more villainous and less sympathetic, but in the television show it's like more it's like uh I mean it's kind of like the opposite. Like I feel sympathetic towards Butcher, but I will say he's not a hero. He's not the things he's doing is not straight up heroic. All right, I would call I would call Billy Butcher um more of an anti-hero, if you will. He's not a villain. He's not a full-on villain, but he's not a full-on superhero. He's like stuck in the middle. He has a crest. Deep down, he has a heart. He's a good man. He has a heart. He has a heart in the television series, but like yeah, in the comics, he does have a heart, but he's more villainous and less sympathetic because of everything that he went through. And of course, the plot changes. Major twists such as the true identity of Black Noir are completely different between the two mediums. In the comics, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's revealed that Black Noir is a clone of Homelander, and Black Noir kills Homelander at the end of the comic series in the White House. In the television series, he's a completely different character. They did something completely different with season 3. Season 3 is all about the character. You get to explore the history, the backstory of Black Noir, and who is the person or the man behind that mask, and why is he so silent? Why is he mute? Why does he not speak? And all that. And it's pretty sad. Like, it's pretty sad, and I felt very sympathetic towards the character of Black Noir, the original Black Noir, not the season 4 like replacement. But yeah, and there's also the age rating, and the content warning. If I were you guys, like, the series is definitely for adults. I would say not even 18 plus. I would say 21 plus. It's that mature. Yeah. Because the comics contains extreme violence, decapitations, dismemberment, and visceral gore, like on a frequent, like in every panel, like or frequently. There's also a gratuitous amount of like graphic depictions of sexual acts, including instances of sexual assault and non-consensual acts used as plot points. And there's also extreme high frequency of profanity, hundreds of uses of the F word and the C word over and over and over again, repetitively throughout the whole, and all that is like throughout the whole series. So be warned. So overall, if I were to give you guys my opinion, if you guys should read the comics or the television series or watch the television series, whichever, whatever, listen. If you enjoy like grim dark stories or Garth Ennis's other works like Preacher, like Preacher, you will likely appreciate its severity and its excessiveness. However, if you prefer the more political and slightly more restrained tone, which is for me of the TV show, the comics may feel unnecessarily edgy. Because that's for me. Like, I have read this entire comic book series twice. Like twice from I think 2019. The first, no, was it 2019 or it was like around, I think it might be not even, it was 2020 or 2021. The first time I read the entire comic book series was 2020 to 2021, something like that. And then recently, I think I want to say my gut is telling me 2024. 2024 was the last time I reread the whole complete series, comic book series. And yeah. But you know, I haven't there, but you know, everything is edged into my memory, and I remember everything about the comics, so I don't really feel like I don't really feel like I need to reread the whole entire comic series from beginning to end, because like I know the beats. I know how everything is about to go and line up going forward into the final season. But hey, listen, the final season is just adapting from the comic series. But I think we all know, people who read the comics, we all know how it ends with, you know, Homelander. If you've seen the trailer for the final season of The Boys, we all know how it ends with Homelander in the White House. We all know how, we know where Homelander's gonna die. But the show might go in a different direction. If I were you guys, I would watch the television series because it's much more restrained, because the comic book series, the comics is way more excessive and way more violent and graphic and unnecessary. It's unnecessarily gratuitous and violent and graphic, and edgy than it needs to be. Like, you don't, like Garth Ennis, you don't really need to like show all this and do all this. You know, we get it. I understand. We get it. But like, you don't have to show it all in complete graphic details. Like, but yeah, I prefer the television series because the television series is much more restrained. And in the TV show, they like Eric Kripke and everyone involved, and all the writers and producers and everyone involved, the cast and the crew and everyone involved with the television series, they really did a tremendous job. They did a tremendous job humanizing each of these characters, including characters that you don't like. Like, I hate A-Train. I hated A-Train. I hated A-Train at the beginning of season 1. Like, season 1 of The Boys, like, I hated A-Train for running through Huey's ex-girlfriend. But like in the middle of season 3 and definitely like season 4, I feel like I feel like A-Train's turning over a new leaf. Like, A-Train's finally turning over a new leaf, and he's on the boys' side. Like, he's ditching that superhero bullshit, and he finally realizes that, you know, his mistakes and the errors of his ways. Like, they did a great job. Like, that's, A-Train is an example of, you know, humanizing these characters, because in the comics, A-Train is an asshole from beginning to end. I don't really know anything about A-Train. Like, he sexually assaults Starlight, and then he gets killed by Huey at the end of the comics, and that's it. And then that's it. That's A-Train in the comics. But yeah, the television series it's great. It's great. Especially like with characters like Billy Butcher and Huey Campbell and Starlight, Mother's Milk and Frenchie and or Frenchie and Kamiko, and or the female, and A Train, Homelander, Homelander. It's just, yeah, it's just incredible. It's incredible. The television series. If I were you, I'd watch the TV show, then the comics. But yeah, then read the comics. But that's just me. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time listening to my review, my thoughts on my thoughts of the comics of the boys comics. That's pretty much all I have to say, and thank you so much, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because that will help me and my YouTube channel out a lot, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.